good that you showed up today. Good for you. And the goodness of you doing so is an energy that radiates out from you and has an effect upon the rest of our environment. I'd like to begin today's lecture with reading something from the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet. Of course, war and the large military establishments are the greatest sources of violence in the world. Whether their purpose is defensive or offensive, these vast, powerful organizations exist solely to kill human beings. We should think carefully about the reality of war. Most of us have been conditioned to regard military combat as exciting and glamorous, an opportunity for men and women to prove their competence and courage. Since armies are legal, we feel that war is acceptable. In general, nobody feels war is criminal or that accepting it is criminal attitude. In fact, we have been brainwashed. War is neither glamorous nor attractive. It's monstrous. Its very nature is one of tragedy and suffering. As the Dalai Lama touches upon, we are conditioned and made to believe that military service is something to be proud of. Sure, these men and women may be entering into service in order to serve their country with a tremendous amount of bravery and good-hearted intentions going into that decision. But what they do not know is that this global war on terrorism is a complete fabrication. The enemy they are made to believe they're defending their country from is actually a product of their own country. Global war on terrorism is completely faked and based on fake premises. Soldiers have been brainwashed into believing that they are going after an enemy and defending their own country when that same enemy is fully supported and financed by the Western military alliance. As the Dalai Lama argues, this is exactly why we feel that war is acceptable, because we are made to believe it's a necessary course of action. So, what's next? You see, this is a piece of what we are being given to come to believe it's necessary for us to forfeit our rights. But you see, that's only one projection of one reality. There's something else that exists that in order for us to perceive it, we have to let go of our stupor-like attention to what mass media is broadcasting to keep us attentive to its broadcasts. Definitely from this we can see this is a world in turmoil. So how do we respond? Try to realize that the world, this turmoil, is being created by humanity, for humanity. Now here's where we can begin to make a shift in our perceptions. There's something that is universal that allows all this to be occurring, and in its allowing also has what you might say another far greater possibility for humanity. We tend to be blinded by appearances, but it is when we stop paying attention to appearances as the only reality that exists that then we begin to allow ourselves to see another reality. And this, you might say, is the reality of source operating through a system that encompasses really large periods of time and includes all life, including human life. These together create over an extended time period to jointly produce the right and perfect circumstances in every single movement, allowing evolution to proceed to the next level. Sometimes it requires of us to open our eyes and begin to see that the choices we make are always honored. A man lights up a cigarette, inhales deeply, and it's his 20th of that pack, of which he's had 3 packs that day, and has been smoking that way for 14 years. And to look at him, you'd say, he's healthy, everything's all right. 20 years later, he gets emphysema, and 1 year later, he dies. Was he in any way causally responsible for what happened, or was that just a fluke? We, as human beings, relate to the earth in certain ways. We have nuclear explosions underground. We pollute everything above ground. We cut down all of our forests, which produce the oxygen in the atmosphere that allow us to breathe. Is that okay? Back then, it seemed to be okay, but now it doesn't seem to be okay at all. Is that fate? Is that an accident? Or is humanity causally involved in it somehow? There are really 4 basic questions in life. Who am I? Who are you? You see, you answer the question yourself. Why am I here where I am? And for that matter, where am I? And what am I doing about that? What am I doing about these 4 questions? See, most people believe they're simply a biological product, a chemical being, so to speak, the result of their mother and father, and with that, they just roll along. See, that's one possibility. That's one choice. Another choice is that you come to consider yourself as a spiritual being, clothed in a body of earth. And in this body, with this developing awareness of who you truly are as a spiritual being, you find that your powers and abilities go far beyond those of the simple chemical creature. And that these powers actually can and do transcend basic physicality and its laws. But you see, you have to make a choice, seeing who you are, to be able to enter in the possibilities of your becoming. Every act is an act of self-definition. So with every act being an act of self-definition, the invitation is extended to the human race to define itself consciously. And on an individual level, for each of us to show ourselves to be who we are as a result of powerful intention rather than dismaying inattention. Now, if you're a spiritual being and you're awakening to that, then there's also going to have there's also going to be something else that begins to dawn upon you, and that is your purpose for being here. There's a spiritual purpose. And your purpose has to do with your interior life. Who you see yourself to be. Because who you say you are reveals to you who you see yourself to be. And who and what you say your experience is reveals your identification in yourself with life. Because you see, experience always reveals to you your awareness. You can rail against it or you can embrace it. But it is a fact. And it's only when you begin to open up to this as a possibility for you in your becoming that you then begin to make the shift away from being subject to your environment and enter into a place of inner awakening. See, that's where we really are right now in our evolution. Is at a place of personally awakening to who we really are and leaving behind us who we have been taught, programmed, and brainwashed into believing we are. Right now, we stand at a very important point in our own evolution. And that is why this message is being brought to each and every one of you in accordance to your individual receptivity and awakening. That you begin to look and see, I am more than I have been taught I am. I am more than I have believed I am. And I now consciously choose with conscious intention to go beyond those beliefs and to actually enter into an interior relationship with myself, realizing that as I do so, I'm actually linking up with the source of all life itself. And I begin to let go of the entrapments that have been so strategically placed to distract me from my own self-discovery. This is truly our time. So in that, if you will, remember always, you are who you say you are. And your experience is what you say it is. So it's up to you to rise to the occasion by choosing to be true to yourself and redefine your own integrity. And in so doing, allow yourself to live that revealing, unfolding you that you are becoming. We can press forward and into a splendor of a future more wondrous, or we can fall back into wretchedness and a past more depraved. So what we think and do and say in the days ahead will add to the rapid collection of energy that we are generating, that is producing our destiny. So, what's next? It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to me. And collectively, we are the determining factor of our own evolution. Thank you.
For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.